Welcome to Mesa Now. I'm your host, Chris Brady.
And I'm Lily King Cisneros.
On this episode of Mesa Now, we'll give you some updates on city projects.
And I'll take a ride down a few of our new bike and pedestrian paths.
So stay right there because Mesa Now starts right now. It's been 2 years since light rail came to downtown Mesa. Now we're working on the next extension to Gilbert Road. Joining me today is Jennifer Donaldson.
Good morning.
A Mesa resident, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who's also the project manager for the light rail extension to Gilbert Road. She works for Stacy and Wetbeck and Sunt, the group that's come together that's working and building light rail from downtown out to Gilbert Road. Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, this is a big project, a lot going on in Mesa. How are things going? Where are we right now in the phase of construction?
We're about 7 months into construction. We just switched from an early work, smaller utility package and are moving into the bulk of the construction. We are really ramping up with underground utilities, the joint trench that will move the overhead lines on the south side of the road underground, and some water line relocations and some storm work.
So yeah, a lot of people don't realize they drive on the streets all day long, but they don't realize under those streets are a lot of stuff.
A lot.
So it can be water, sewer lines, electrical, stormwater. So all those things, we want to get all those issues resolved, get all that new line, any adjustments we have to make before we put the light rail on, right?
Correct. We're trying to get them out from under the new guideway, so if they ever need to be accessed in the future, you can get to them.
All right, so the guideway's kind of going almost straight down the middle of the road.
Yes.
A lot of those are having been pulled to the side, is that correct?
Yes.
Very good, okay. So you've been on this project from the beginning. I remember we met each other at the groundbreaking almost right here in front of the old Mervyn's. Talk to us a little bit about the timing of construction and what you see. You say we're about 7 months in. Kind of break down the different phases, what we can expect to see maybe over the next year or so.
So pretty much now through the end of the year, we'll be heavy into utilities. Now until September, November, we'll be really working on underground. Once September hits, we'll start taking the overhead lines and moving them underground.
Okay.
Once we hit the end of the year, we'll start working on the roadway narrowing, but more of the surface work.
Okay.
Early in spring, we'll start track work, and then it'll just start going up with stations.
All right, so that makes sense. So right now, we're doing all the underground work, getting that completed. Sounds like the beginning of next year. Then we'll see more of the work on the surface. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Now, as you drive down Main Street, and we want people to still come down Main Street. There's a lot of great businesses. Jennifer, one of the things I remember you spoke about quite a bit at the beginning of the project, and I'm sure it continues to be important, is talk about the drivers and trying to be safe, and what should they be aware of, and how can they make that experience in going up and down Main Street a safe one?
So if you come down Main Street, you'll see we have a lot of work zones opened up. And to do that, we have to shift traffic and reduce the number of travel lanes. So the speed limit has been reduced to 25 miles an hour. So the first rule, or the first thing we would appreciate the most, is to slow down and abide by that 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. The second thing is to follow the chevrons. So you'll notice the traffic control barricades. There's some set up behind us. But the chevrons will point you in the direction where you need to go. Okay. And if you slow down, you can see them and they become a little more obvious. So if
Be so confused. If you're going too fast, you might miss it.
Yes.
And you don't want to be playing chicken with the other lane coming at you.
Correct.
Okay, very good. That's important. So you talked about the phases. What's the kind of expected, where are we looking for kind of conclusion of construction right now?
So right now we're shooting for an opening in May of 2019. Okay. For months before that, everyone will think we're done. We're not. There's a lot of testing to do to prove it's safe for the public, but that's our current schedule.
We're here at Mervyn's. There's a lot of activity here. Do you have any idea generally about how many people are working on the project right now?
Right now, we have about 100, including staff and workers in the fields. That'll ramp up to almost double when we hit peak.
All right, Jennifer, we also know that it's important for those who are driving to be safe, but there's a lot of neighborhoods that are near light rail that may be going back and forth. Talk to us a little bit about the pedestrian safety and bike safety that we want to encourage.
So we maintain walkways on both sides, north and south side of Main Street during construction. If we have to impede or cross the sidewalk, or our work zone just gets too close to the sidewalk for it to be safe for pedestrians, we will put up these temporary barricades and create a walkway that's safe for the pedestrians to walk. So we
stay in the chute.
Stay in the chute.
And you'll be safe. So
pedestrian signs pointing you there, and if it crosses a curb, we have ADA ramps that we've manufactured to make it safe and ADA accessible as well.
And the other, we don't want to discourage people from coming down on Main Street. We still want people to come. There's a lot of great businesses here. There's a new restaurant. You say it's really good.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic. So we're excited about the businesses. We need to support them. So I encourage you. I know it's going to be a little convenient, but please come and patronize the businesses here on Main Street. Jennifer, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we're going to join Lily. She's been out exploring on her bike many of our new bike and pedestrian paths the city has been building over the last few months. Let's join Lily and find out more about what's going on in Mesa.
We're here with Jim Hash, the bicycle and pedestrian manager. Is that right? Program manager?
Program manager, yes.
Okay, so Jim, you have ridden pretty much all over the place here in Mesa, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what Mesa has to offer for bicycle and pedestrians?
Well, Mesa's really coming together quite well. We're currently a silver community with the League of American Bicyclists Bicycle Friendly Community Program. We're one of 46 in the nation. We provide great paths, both paved paths like the one you see behind me, as well as assortment of dirt paths that traverse the SRP canals throughout the city. We have a lot of bicycle facilities. We have a lot of pedestrian facilities. We're constantly working to improve our facilities for the winter visitors that are coming into town. As we start to age in place and that demographic starts to go up, we realize that we need to provide facilities for not only the young and the fearless, but for all ages and abilities.
What is the attraction? Why do people enjoy participating in this type of sport?
I think everyone just enjoys getting out of their car. I think for years we were so dependent on our cars, and this is such a car-centric city and state, that when we give the public the ability to get out of their vehicles and use another form of transportation, it kind of moves them backwards in time. If you remember your first sense of freedom, it was when you're on your bicycle, 7, 8, 9 years old, and you take off down the street away from mom and dad. So I think that just is a renewed sense of youth that people are looking for when they get on their bicycle or out running or rollerblading.
So we have also paved paths, but then also unpaved, which it kind of expands our mileage, right?
We do. Currently we have 86 total miles of canal and pathways throughout the city. Now only currently 10 of those miles are paved. We're working every year. We have projects that are going to be kicking off here real soon to have additional paved miles. But we offer that assortment right now. The pathways that are not paved are very usable. They're very friendly. They're not real rocky or undulating. So.
And in future, we're going to have a connector path from here, is that correct?
We are. It's getting ready to open here in the near future. Probably, I was at a meeting yesterday, it will be the end of June when it's open. And it actually connects Sloan Park and the home of the Cubs up to Hohokam Stadium, the home of the A's. So it's called the Stadium Connector. It connects the two stadiums, and we're trying to promote folks that are here for spring training, but not only spring training year-round, to connect these two stadiums and use it as a connectivity point to move throughout the city of Mesa, and for folks to come in from Scottsdale and Tempe and move over to Riverview and go shopping and up into our downtown. So.
Well, just even opening up the Rio Salado pathway has been a huge success, you know, over the past, since it has been open since last year. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of comments and people praising about it.
Oh, we're getting tons of comments. We have automated bicycle and pedestrian counters out here on the pathway, and they're counting about 150 to 200 users per day that are using the pathway. So it is a very nice amenity. The residents of Mesa are really behind it and want to see more of it in the city.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for your time, Jim. So if you are interested, go online to visit them at your website, mesaaz.gov/bikeped. There you go. Have fun, guys.
Well, today we are out at a new construction site in southeast Mesa. We call it the Signal Butte Water Treatment Plant. It's one of the largest projects the city has ever undertaken. And joining me today is Jake West. Jake is the Director of Water Resources for the city. So Jake, what in the world are you building out here?
Well, Chris, what we're doing out here at the corner of Signal Butte and Elliott Roads, we've got an active construction site going on that we're building a 24 million gallon water treatment plant facility here, which we, as you alluded to, is the Signal Butte Water Treatment Plant.
So water treatment plant. So today, we're in Southeast Mesa. So today, where do the residents and businesses that are in this area, where do they get their water from now?
Currently, they're receiving Central Arizona Project water that we have at our Brown Road Water Treatment Plant up at the north end of the city of Mesa at Brown Road, just east of Power Road. That water is pushed down through a number of pipes and buried infrastructure that brings it down here. We also have roughly about 12 to 13 groundwater wells that help supplant the plant to be able to treat the water for the residents and to meet the demand here in Southeast Mesa.
So that's important to know. This is a fast-growing part of Mesa, Southeast Mesa is. With Eastmark, we have Apple down here, a lot of other businesses that are moving into this area. Today, in order to provide the water for them, literally from Northeast Mesa, that water has to be pushed all the way down here. Now, the water treatment plant is strategically located here at Elliott and Signal Butte. Tell us where we're getting the water from.
Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, the city put a project together and we got approval with Central Arizona Project to build a turnout structure about 3 miles west of us here at the canal. So we're currently building a 54-inch pipeline that's going to take the water from that turnout structure and bring it to this plant, where it then will be treated, put in the reservoir, and pushed out to the system to make up for the water that they were getting from Brown Road from so far away.
Well, okay, so really important to understand is that the city of Mesa gets its water from a variety of different sources. And a matter of fact, you can go to the city's recently published water
Consumer Confidence Report.
Consumer Confidence Report, which does a really good job of talking about if you know if you can identify where part of Mesa you live in, it shows you where the water's coming from, right?
Correct. It'll tell you based on what zone you're living in, what your pressure should be, what water sources are being fed. So we've got many flavors of water. You've got our Salt River water, which is surface water. You've got our cap water, which is surface water, and then of course our groundwater wells in both the city proper, in the city system, and in the eastern zone.
Yeah. So it's important to note this treatment plant is an important part of our overall distribution of water. Our water resources is taking some of our allocation off the canals that are further to the east of this location and treating that CAP water. So that's the water that's coming clear out of the Colorado River, clear on the far western edge of Arizona. And we're taking our allocation, treating it, and then distributing it here very efficiently here in Mesa. So you told us how many, what's the capacity of this first phase?
Yeah. The initial phase is going to be 24 million gallons a day capacity to be able to serve the Southeast, but the plant is currently designed to be have a future expansion for another 24, so a total build out is going to be a 48 MGD plant.
Okay, so that's important to know. Not only are we trying to meet the needs of today and the growth of Southeast Mesa, but we are also have the capacity to grow this plant, to expand as the growth in Southeast Mesa, both residential and commercial, continues to grow. So Jake, just kind of as we wrap up, talk to us a little bit about, as we bring this water in and we distribute it throughout this area, what other things do you see kind of, I mean, this plant is close to some neighborhoods. What should they see kind of around the plant? What do they expect to see? What is this plant going to look like? Okay.
Well, this is the administration building behind us. That's the structures are going to be inside. Outside the walls, we're going to have some paths, some walking paths. Okay. I think there's a future park in design or in consideration, but there will be some foliage and shade trees and a path where people can kind of walk around.
Nice buffer, so yes, it'll look nice. And then I guess final question is, a lot of construction going on here. Currently, what's the anticipated completion date? So
we are on target to hit our goal of May 2018 to be providing water into the system. Now, there may be some ongoing construction activities while that's going on, but that's our drop deadline date to get the water in the system.
So a year from today, from where we stand today, the plant will be completed, and we'll be able to provide water from this plant to the area here.
Yes.
All right, Jake, thanks for joining us. This is a great project, an important part of Mesa's water system as we deliver water to Southeast Mesa. One of the important programs in Mesa is connecting with our neighborhoods. And we have several programs where we try to reach out and connect with our neighborhoods and the residents there. But today, Lindsay's here to talk to us about maybe kind of how we're going to evolve and change some of our very successful programs, be more effective in connecting with our neighborhood groups. So Lindsay, I'm going to let you kind of tell us first of all your title with the city and your department, then let's talk about the program. So what is your title?
So my title is Neighborhood Outreach Coordinator.
Okay, good.
And I'm in the Community Services Department.
All right, so that should tell you a lot about the organization. So Lindsay's title is all about neighborhoods, right? Okay, so today there's a variety of different programs that we have that we relate with neighborhoods. For the last several years, we've had a program called Building Stronger Neighborhoods, correct?
Right.
So just briefly tell us what that was like.
That program was about, we would survey the neighborhood, engage residents, about usually 300 to 500 residents, and we would hear from them what their major concerns were, and then go out, take the city on the road, and educate people about those concerns they had, as well as all the other resources and services the city provides.
Good, and it was a great opportunity to really get into those neighborhoods, work with them on specific projects and initiatives. Right. You did a great job there.
Thank you.
But we're ready to kind of, ready to kind of freshen that up a little bit, kind of maybe use a little more of the social media. So talk about the new program that we're rolling out now.
So we're seeing neighborhoods, like many people throughout the community, using social media to connect with each other, maybe not coming to as many neighborhood meetings in person. And so we're trying to meet them where they are.
Okay.
We are doing a new program called You Connect Mesa. So we love that word connect. It really describes what we're doing throughout the city. We're trying to connect residents to city services and resources, and also residents to each other within neighborhoods.
Okay.
So that's the core of the
program. That's kind of core. So and not necessarily that we have to call a meeting at the nearby elementary school or whatever, and everybody comes into the cafeteria and sits down. Although that still may be important, but really, like you said, connecting with where the neighbors are, which could literally be inside their homes.
Right.
So what kind of information, what would you see the purpose of this connection? How would it benefit residents? Why would they be interested in connecting through the social media?
So neighborhood outreach and You Connect as a whole is really about educating people about what the city has to offer. A lot of people don't know the services that we provide.
Okay.
And also other resources throughout the community. So really educating and making those connection points so that they can get services and also work better together.
So in your experience with Building Stronger Neighborhoods, what were some of the most, I guess, when you met with the neighbors, what are the things that they were most interested in, and how do you see the social media being able to answer that question?
Sure. So the top 4 we usually saw were speeding concerns or safety concerns in the neighborhood, so crime prevention kind of stuff.
A lot of code issues.
Code issues, yes. And also people wanting to connect with each other.
Yeah, and that was important, right? So it's both, you know, the things that people see: speeding, cars speeding down, crime, code compliance, keeping up yards, maybe vacant homes, they're concerned in maintenance. And then, as you said, is even though they live in the neighborhood for years, they may not necessarily know the names or how to engage with their neighbor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how will You Connect help maybe satisfy that?
So we have 2 different aspects of the program. We're doing what we're calling pop-up events.
Okay.
So we're still going out in the community and connecting with people in person.
Okay.
Those will be offered all over the city and in the various council districts throughout the year. Okay. And you'll see us quite literally popping up. We'll have a pop-up tent. We'll bring out probably a city council member with us.
Okay.
And really talk to them about what we offer. We will show them our mobile apps and how they can report things to the city through our Mesa City Link and other resources that we offer. So we'll actually have iPads there that we can show them how to use their smartphones or their devices to interact with us. So it's still, that part is still in person, but we are engaging with technology as well.
A little more agile as far as where you can go. And you can do it during the day, you can do it in the evening.
Right.
Because today we kind of have to find a physical space that's available, and that usually means during the weekday in the evening.
Right, and it'd also be open house style, so you can pop in for 5-10 minutes with us and then be on.
And once we show the neighbors how they connect through their mobile devices, then they can do that at any time.
Correct.
I mean, they could do it the next day, anytime.
Yes.
The point is engaging with them so they become aware of how they can connect with the city and answer some of those very questions. How do you report speeding in your neighborhood? How do you report a code compliance issue?
Right.
And then talk about how will they help them to network with each other?
So there's some good social networking sites that are specific to neighborhoods that they can communicate directly with each other, and it kind of brings everyone within the neighborhood boundaries together so they can communicate privately about their concerns and also collaborate and do fun social things too, or benefiting things.
And some of those may exist today and they're just not aware of how to
so it's really
engage with it, and we can show them how they can
aware.
become part of that social media community.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And then the other part of our program is to meet them on those sites. So we'll start filming videos and just doing different social media posts to educate people about the services and the resources and tips for how to engage with your neighbors and that kind of thing.
Good. All right, so when do we expect the launch of this program?
You'll start seeing us on social media more in August.
Okay.
And then our first pop-up event will be in September.
Okay.
And then throughout the year, that'll be our launch, and then we'll be out and about throughout the year.
Okay. Lindsay, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
We're excited at the new opportunity, new ways to engage with our neighbors, neighborhoods, and the residents that are there. Lindsay and those who work with her coworkers do a great job. They're a great resource for the city to engage our residents. So we encourage you, if you haven't already, to learn more about what's happening in our Neighborhood Services Department. So Lindsay, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Now we are joined with Sergeant Efren Carmona. Did I get that right, Efren?
You did.
Very good. He is with the Mesa Police Department. And Efren is here to talk to us about a very important matter, very concerning matter in Mesa. So Efren, talk to us a little bit about some uncomfortable trends that we're seeing happening in Mesa, Arizona.
So recently, in the first 5 months of this year, we've seen a rise in our pedestrian fatalities. Last year, we had 10 fatalities pedestrian related for the entire year. This year, we're up to 9 fatalities for the city of Mesa.
Okay, so that's not good. So share with us what it is that maybe as you've looked at that trend, obviously not the fatalities are bad, is there a pattern here or something that maybe we could learn from that we need to educate the public about, you know, going across streets, or what are you seeing in this trend? Are there some behaviors that we can modify and try to educate on?
Certainly. And the majority, on all of the pedestrian fatalities this year, the pedestrian has been the one that's violated the traffic laws. So the pedestrian has been in the wrong for all the fatalities this year.
They're not in a crosswalk, is what you're saying.
So there's a few different circumstances that we have involved here. Not in the crosswalk, not obeying the crosswalk signals for pedestrians when to cross and when not to cross. Some of the pedestrians have been in the roadway for unknown reasons to pick up an object, or just been in the roadway when they shouldn't have been in the roadway.
Right.
But in all the circumstances, the vehicle was not the person or the causing the problem. It was the pedestrians that were in the roadway unlawfully.
So the police department, are you looking at kind of rolling out a campaign, some kind of information? Share with us what you're...
So we're here today just to kind of educate the public as far as when to cross, when not to cross, when these fatalities are occurring. The majority of these fatalities are occurring at night when the pedestrians are less visible to the vehicles. Obviously, when they cross the roadway, we want them to be in a marked crosswalk. Not only do you typically have more lights at a signalized intersection, and you're more visible, but the cars are going to stop because they have the light there for the crosswalk. Also that we want to take a look at is just pedestrians need to just take their time when crossing the street and make sure that if they're in the roadway, they can cross. It's not typically illegal to cross outside of a crosswalk. There are unmarked crosswalks, but they need to be aware that the vehicles have the right-of-way when they're outside of a crosswalk.
Right. So just a lot of awareness of what's happening. Are you concerned in that trend? Is all ages, or are we talking mostly children, young adults, older, or is it a variety?
That's a good question. This year, when you look at ages, believe it or not, we have 1 juvenile that was a fatal statistic. The other ones have all been adults, so anywhere from the ages of 20 to 80 years of age. So age looks like it's adults, more so occurring at night. The juvenile was the only incident that occurred during the day for this time of the year.
Okay.
So when we look at age, it's just basically the pedestrians are not paying attention. They're not crossing in the right places. They're not following the pedestrian signals. They just need to be more aware of the surroundings. And the other thing that we want to let pedestrians know, just because you're in a marked crosswalk doesn't mean you're safe. Yeah. Make eye contact with the driver if you can. Make sure the car is going to stop or is slowing down before you enter that street, and that's going to make you safer. Pedestrian, unfortunately, is not going to win when it gets in a collision with a vehicle, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, we appreciate you bringing this to attention. Anything specific about some programs that you're planning on rolling out in the next few months or weeks that we can be looking forward to?
Certainly. Our officers are out right now looking for people crossing the street illegally.
Okay.
If they see them and they're causing a hazard, they're definitely going to stop and have a talk with them about what they should and shouldn't do. Depending on whether the officer issues a warning or issues a citation, that's up to the officer's discretion. But we are rolling out a campaign that we are looking at pedestrians right now and making contact with them to educate them about the laws as it relates to pedestrian safety and crossing the roadways.
Very good. Well, Efren, thank you. Sergeant Carmona, thank you for being here with us today. This is an important issue. We want everyone to be safe, careful crossing the streets, and I think what we're saying, especially in the evening, at night, that seems to be a concern. So be very careful and aware of your surroundings and making sure you're crossing where it's well lit and making sure the cars can see you. So Efren, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'd like to thank all our guests for joining us on this episode of Mesa Now.
And if you'd like additional information, please visit mesanow.org. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.